Do you ever feel like your kids might be getting lost in the shuffle of family life? Join us as we dive into expert tips and heartfelt advice on making each child feel uniquely loved and appreciated no matter their place in the sibling lineup. Stay tuned. Hey parents, welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. Do you want to raise your kids better and have a stronger marriage? Are you up late at night researching marriage and parenting tools and self-care tips? Do you start each day hoping for deeper connections and less chaos, but it ends with family arguments and going 12 different directions again? My name's Kendra, wife, mom, therapist, and growth enthusiast. It wasn't until I discovered how to fulfill my unmet needs that I was finally able to show up as my best self as a spouse and parent. I realized that by meeting my needs, I could more fully meet the needs of my family with more energy and less resentment. In this podcast, I teach parents skills like boundary setting, prioritizing personal needs, communication, and claiming ownership. Just like my clients, you'll be shocked by the improvement in your marriage, parenting, and personal life when you focus on fulfilling your important unmet needs. Ready to prioritize yourself so you can quit mentally throat punching people? Then grab those earbuds and head outside, and let's walk and talk. Welcome back, friends, to episode number 145, Fair Love, Navigating Birth Order Challenges as a Parent. I wanted to talk about this today because I've recognized, especially as I've gotten feedback from my kids, that they are a little bit bitter about their birth order, no matter where they are in the lineup. For example, my oldest daughter gets really frustrated that there are more expectations for her as the oldest. And my youngest son often complains about how he's bullied all the time. Again, that's his perspective, not the rest of us. And the middle two talk often about how they are ignored or they are just not as much of a focus as the other ones. So they all have their frustrations, and I am not surprised, number one. And I also remember keenly what that was like for me as well. They do have a point. There is something to birth order challenges, but there's also more that we can do to make it easier for them to navigate those things and have less resentment through that process. So we're going to get into that today. But before we do, don't forget to go to fulfillment.therapist.org to sign up for our weekly emails and to stay tuned about what is going on in our blog and our emails, our YouTube channel, Pinterest, all of the things. We share that with you first when you sign up for fulfillmenttherapy.org under Connect on fulfillmenttherapy.org. So check that out. And as always, you can also sign up for one-on-one coaching and anything else that we offer. So go explore that right now and find out what's going on. All right, now let's get back to birth order. As you know, Fulfillment Therapy's podcast talks about ways to bring greater joy and fulfillment to your life as a parent and to family life. But today we're addressing a common concern among parents, and that's ensuring that each child feels individually loved and individually appreciated despite their birth order. And I know that you have probably felt this yourself. You're probably thinking, oh, I was born the third or the fourth or the first, and it's definitely the worst. Or maybe you think it's the best. I don't know. But we're going to share advice and tips on how to help your child really believe that they are special and equally loved and appreciated. And that might feel like a tall order, but there are some things that we can do. Okay, first let's talk about understanding the issue. Birth order can influence how children perceive their place in the family and how they receive attention from us as parents. So I mentioned this a minute ago with my own children, but firstborns might feel pressure to meet high expectations. And sometimes those are not fair expectations. Middle children might struggle feeling overlooked, and the youngest children often experience different dynamics altogether. Like I mentioned, my son feels bullied a lot. And the other children resent the younger child because maybe that child doesn't have as many responsibilities, or maybe he or she is babied, or whatever it might be. Usually the parent has less energy to follow through with that younger child. And sometimes there's more behavioral problems because of that. So it's important to help each child feel valued and loved, because that really is crucial for their emotional development and the overall harmony in the family. And I know all of you are probably thinking, yeah, we could use a bit more of that harmony. So teach us how to do it in simple ways. Well, that is exactly what I'm going to do today. Dr. Laura Markham says this: every child needs to feel seen, heard, and valued for who they are, not just where they fall in the birth order. That's important to remember, because I think my daughter sometimes thinks that she's just valued because she's responsible and she's a helper to me. Well, it's important that she knows it's not just because she makes my life easier that she's loved or accepted. I have a couple other quotes for you. Dr. Kevin Leman says this: balancing attention among children doesn't mean giving them equal time, but rather giving them what they individually need. I really appreciated that quote, because I'm like, I can't always have it be super equal with all the things that I do, but I can make it more quality, or give them, like he said, what they need individually. And this last one is by Dr. Jane Nelsen. And she said, when parents make a conscious effort to connect with each child individually, it fosters a sense of security and belonging in the family. And I talk a lot about security and belonging because I'm all about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you remember the pyramid. And we are not able to move up into greater fulfillment until we have met those basic needs. And that basic need, one of those core foundational ones, is love and belonging. So if they don't have that, then they will not thrive. So we're going to talk about how to give them that today too. That's laced kind of in all of these things. I'm going to break this down into 10 tips for you. So let's talk about number 1, personalized one-on-one time. This is something I've mentioned before and is really foundational for parenting, but this is where you schedule one-on-one time with each child. So this is this special time that you label as special time or as date night or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, but where they know this is just you two. So even if it's short, this helps them feel valued and heard. So I've mentioned before that I take my son on bike rides, or according to the things they like to do. Sometimes we do like a family secret service together, although I want to do more of those. Sometimes they're a little bit harder to do last minute. Sometimes I print off get to know you questions and we just take it with us when we go get ice cream or a waffle or something like that, even just a drink, and we'll ask them questions. I'll go into this more in just a minute, but when you do this, make sure you're looking them in the eye. You're asking them the questions. You're not just lecturing, and you put away distractions. Turn off the notifications on your phone. Let them know they're more important than a device. Please do this. Number 2, recognize their unique strengths. Acknowledge and celebrate each of one of your child's unique strengths and talents and achievements, because when you point these things out, it really boosts their self-esteem and their sense of individuality. Help them nurture their gifts in these simple ways and share why you love their gifts and ask them why they value those strengths in themselves, and have them explore their strengths or gifts. There's so many online quizzes or things that you can do to help them narrow down what their gifts are or what their strengths are. All right, number 3 is listen actively. I've kind of already mentioned this, but give each child your undivided attention when they're speaking to show that their thoughts and feelings matter. This means eye contact. This means no phones. Please no phones. This means communicate the need for a better time if you can't be present, and then actually follow through. It's just the same with our spouse or with a best friend. Try not to treat your children as less than because they are younger, but show them that they matter through your undivided attention. Tip number 4, create family traditions. I've talked about this a number of times before too, but when we establish those rituals or traditions that involve every family member, then we can highlight each child and their contributions. For example, each child could pick a favorite family tradition each year, and then they can help you implement that using their strengths, and especially because they have more buy-in because they picked that and they really enjoy it. So we do that especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. They will help me carry out one of the things that they especially love, and then they get more excited about it. It's a lot of fun. Number 5, avoid comparisons. This can be tricky. Like, it's an obvious one, but it's easy in some frustration to sometimes say that little thing, but that's what they remember for years and years to come. So really keep yourself from saying those things that compares them to another sibling. So focus on each child's individual progress and avoid, like I said, comparing those siblings to one another. They are meant to be different, and that is okay. It's supposed to be that way. Number 6, tailor your approach. So adjust your parenting style to meet the different needs and personalities of each one of your kids. So some may want more control. Some might need more movement. Some might need more praise or validation. Some might just need some more touch. They're all so different, just like your spouse. Recognize what their needs are and tailor your approach accordingly. Number 7, encourage teamwork. So what does this mean? This is about promoting activities that require cooperation and teamwork among the siblings especially. So reinforcing the idea that each child is important to the family unit and not just including those that will help you the most. And that can be hard, especially when some might whine more or fight more or whatever that is. We're really trying to encourage that collaboration and that teamwork here so that birth order is not such a challenge. Number 8, be fair, not equal. So it's about meeting each child's needs rather than treating them identically. Ensure that each child gets what they need to thrive. For example, there might be different phone parameters for each child, or tech parameters, or bedtimes, or whatever it might be, because they have different strengths or weaknesses. So you have to treat it differently. So again, you try to make it fair, but they might not always see it that way. But it's not going to be equal, and teach them what that means. Number 9 is set clear expectations. Communicate your expectations clearly to your child to prevent those feelings of favoritism or neglect even. Because when you don't do that, your kids can often feel like maybe they are not the favorite, maybe they are not appreciated, maybe they are neglected. But when you make those guidelines clear to the whole family, there can be space to express things. And that's actually tied to number 10, which is their input. So involve your kids in family decisions to help them feel respected and valued. And this is where that space is created for them to share, like, hey, I'm feeling like a little too much is put on my plate as the oldest. Or I'm feeling a little bit neglected just because I'm in the middle. Whatever it might be, this is a space that parents can help create that is safe, where they can share their feelings on things, and it can be done in a respectful way. When you do what you can to make sure each child feels individually loved and appreciated as parents, you really will experience that greater fulfillment as you see your kids thrive emotionally and socially, which is a natural result of feeling that safety and security in a relationship. Children who feel valued are more likely to develop that healthy self-esteem, those strong relationships, and, like I said, that sense of belonging. And this creates a positive, nurturing family environment where everyone's needs can be met, and that leads to a more fulfilled family life. Now, does that mean that you're going to be perfect, and if you just do these 10 things, you'll be A-okay for the rest of your life? Probably not. There's always things that arise, and we have to readjust. Remember, the goal is to make every child feel uniquely special and valued, even if there's mishaps along the way. But by implementing these tips, you can navigate those challenges of birth order dynamics and foster a loving, supportive family environment. Thank you for joining us today, my friends, on this episode of Fulfillment Therapy. Stay tuned for more insights on nurturing a happy and fulfilled family life for both you as a parent, for your marriage, and for your family life. Stay tuned, and we'll see you back here soon. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, chances are someone else would too. Would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who's looking for greater family fulfillment? And while you're sharing, tell me what you think about the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It refuels me when I hear this podcast is helping you. No matter what your house or your hair looks like, I'll meet you back here every Monday and Thursday morning for more episodes. Until then.